talk about a goofy technique called tapping. And we tap away our negative emotions, negative thoughts, and pain, and anything that you think is negative that you don't like to have. It sounds like a crazy concept. I thought it was a crazy concept. Nancy won't even talk about it. She makes me do it even though she knows it works too because she tries it. She just doesn't want to do it in public. I don't care. I think it works so well. I'm doing it in public and I really want to share this with you. The premise of tapping is that you tap into your energy levels. And we have several shells of energy around us. Now, first of all, that is something that sounds a little crazy, right? Yeah, sounds a little crazy. You're having all those chemical reactions going on and on and on. And when you do, they're spinning off energy. And where does all that go? Well, some of it surrounds us. It's not all inside of us. We're giving off some energy. Let's talk about those energy layers just for a second, and then I'm going to get to the nitty-gritty. I'm going to get the tapping thing, the useful part. But sometimes it's nice to understand a tiny bit of the background. We have 5 layers of energy associated with our body. 5 layers. The first layer we are all very familiar with. It's near and dear to all of us. That is our physical energy body. That's the part that you can see on me, I can see on you. It's the part I can touch. That's the physical part. That kind of makes sense, right? That's what we see here in yellow. The physical energy body. That's not a hard one for us because we're used to looking at that. But as we move outward, we encounter 4 more layers. The 4 layers are oftentimes called your aura. Now, most of us have heard about aura. We don't always know what to think about it. It sounds a little crazy. But the aura is divided into 4 other layers. The first layer, outside of this body that you can touch, is called the etheric energy body. And those people that can actually look at someone and see their auras around them, and there are people that really are that sensitive, they'll tell you that that is really the holograph of your body or the blueprint. It's just a little shading around the entire thing. And they'll tell you that it looks gray or grayish blue and it's kind of like a web. Now, most of us would have a difficult time seeing this one, but there are people that actually can see that layer. We're going to move out to the next layer and think of these as shells around you, complete shells that begin to go further and further from your body. The next one, that would be number 3 now, is called the emotional energy body, emotional. And of course, we always let the words work for us, emotional. That actually refers to extremes of emotion, and this area here is the keeper of our emotions. It's very volatile because, like I just said, it's the extremes. It's a happy, sad, happy, sad, happy, sad. It's a very crazy area because of the volatility there. The next layer out from our bodies is called the mental energy body, the mental layer. Well, that's kind of a no-brainer. That's an easy one to figure out. When we say mental, we're always talking about something up here in our brain. And that's the part that's in charge of our thoughts, our perceptions. Based on past experiences, we have certain perceptions. And also our figuring and our ciphering and our processing. So that's a busy area, and it all heralds back to the brain. Our outermost layer then, outside of all this, and the last and most outermost layer of the aura is called the spiritual energy body. Spiritual. As its name states, the spiritual is actually the part outermost because it's the part that connects us with our higher powers. So keep in mind these 5 layers because we need to have a sense of those if we're going to understand how this tapping works. Tapping is actually meant to repair disruptions in any of those 5 layers. These disruptions occur when you have negative emotions and negative thoughts or anything negative going on with your body. All those relate back to a specific energy level. So when I say negative thoughts, I mean things like grief, depression, I'm mad, also things like trauma, things like pain. Those sorts of things are all considered negative for your body, and because you start to focus on them and you just can't get them out of your brain, they actually start to disrupt those shells or disrupt those energy levels. Those are what we need to repair, and we do that with the process of tapping. So how do we do this tapping thing? Now it's going to take me way longer to explain this than it does for you to do it. It is a very fast process, and I do it for headaches. I get my headaches to go down to almost a negligible level frequently from this, and commonly I will do this at a stoplight. I kind of slink down in my chair a little bit because I'm thinking like, oh, that guy over there is going to think I'm crazy as I'm doing this tapping thing, but it really, really dials down my headache. Mostly I do it for that, and every now and then when I've got somebody that's bugging me, or maybe just a little bit mad at my husband. Not really mad, but you know, get a little irritated with him. So first we identify the issue, and it's key to actually identify whatever you think is really bugging you that you want to improve on. It can be pain again, like a headache, or it can be a worry, like I'm worried about my son's grades. I am worried that my son is not studying enough. It can be how something makes you feel. Like, just like I said, worried about how your son is doing, or it makes me upset when my husband's eyes glaze over when I'm trying to tell a story. Something like that. Any of these things actually are considered negative emotions or negative thoughts. They're things that we just sometimes just keep thinking about and we can't get out of our heads. Realize when you set up your issue, when you figure out what the issue is, it can't be about someone else. I can't say, my husband's eyes glaze over when I'm talking to him. I have to say how it affects me. I get irritated or I get frustrated. I get insulted. You have to always turn it back to yourself, because what you're really, really working on are healing your own energy levels. So this is important, and it's also important for you to be very specific. If you were to say, my knee hurts, let me tell you that you'll be a lot more successful if you identify which one. If you say, my right knee hurts, or the back of my right knee hurts, be as specific as possible, and that really sets you up for success. So we've got an issue. The last thing we do after we define it and make it specific is we assign a number to it. A number from 0 to 10, 10 being the most bothersome. Like, my knee hurts and it hurts enough that I'm going to call it a 7. So take that little number and tuck it back here in the corner of your brain and just hold it there, because we're going to bring that number out after we're finished here. So then what we do, and this is called the setup, we take our item that we identified that we'd like to improve on, and we stick it in this phrase. The phrase is even though, and then we're going to insert the problem, and I'm going to give you right knee pain, for example. We'll just keep using that example. Even though my right knee hurts, comma, you don't have to say the comma, I deeply and completely accept myself. That's how you start this whole thing. Even though my right knee hurts, I deeply and completely accept myself. So remember to insert your problem in there. And sometimes it's kind of hard to remember this phrase at first. I had to write it down because I couldn't remember it. I could always remember my problem, but I couldn't remember how to say this part. And then you begin tapping. Our first tap is on the area of your hand that's known as the karate chop area, like just like you karate chop something. And what you do is you take that part of your hand and you chop it against these two fingers. And you repeat the setup phrase 3 times. Even though my right knee hurts, I deeply and completely accept myself. Even though my right knee hurts, I deeply and completely accept myself. One more time. Even though my right knee hurts, I deeply and completely accept myself. So 3 times with that particular setup phrase. Then the fun begins. Then we go through the sequence. And this is actually pretty darn quick because we're not going to say that entire phrase this time. So I direct your attention to this handsome gentleman here and the tapping points shown here in red. If it's a midline like these things, you only need to use one hand. But if you can, if it's something that you have two of, like two eyeballs, you can use both hands and use these first two fingers again. I'll show you how we do that. So now we're going to start at the top of our head and we're going to work down, tapping on each of these spots here. These are the spots that will help us align our energy fields. We'll start at the top, and the only thing that you have to say then is the problem that you identified, not the entire phrase, so it's quick. So you're going to say, after you've done the setup, karate chop 3 times, my right knee hurts, and then you go to the inside of the eye, my right knee hurts. You go to the outside, my right knee hurts. You go underneath, my right knee hurts. My right knee hurts. My right knee hurts. And then this one is a little bit harder to see because he's got this handsome outfit on here. But you're going to go in that squishy part of your chest there, right underneath your collarbone. My right knee hurts. And then the last one is about right underneath the armpit, my right knee hurts. Each time you do that tapping, like my right knee hurts, try to do it about 5 to 7 times. But don't get so focused on counting it that you're not focused on the problem. So I'll just real quickly do this again. My right knee hurts. 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 7. And my right knee hurts. So that's called the sequence. Now you can see that you actually could pull this entire thing off at a stoplight because you can identify something while you're approaching the stoplight, and then you can just start the whole thing. The three things here, and then all the way down. And then the light turns green, and you've already dialed down your problem. So now that we've worked our whole way down, to retest the intensity. Remember how I stuck that 7 up in the corner of my brain? I said, I think on a scale of 1 to 10, my right knee is a 7. Now that you've gone all the way down, you retest and you say, wow, what is it now? You can tell with this young lady here, her knee's a lot better. Let's say it's a 4 now. If it's a 4, you might say, you either have to wait till the next stoplight to dial it down further, or this is good enough. You have to decide that part. And you can do this entire cycle as many times as you want. In fact, sometimes you'll go through the day and you'll say, well, my knees started to hurt again. Dial it right down. Do it when you need a break from work. Just do it through the day as you need to, because you can keep dialing it down, and it truly, truly works. It's the craziest concept, but it truly, truly works. This technique is being used all over the country, and there's a lot of information on it now. So we see a happy girl here. This is a thing that I think will be really, really nice for you to learn how to do. Try it on yourself. When you're convinced, try to teach it to other people, because they're going to be really surprised that it works too. First, think it's crazy, just like Nancy and I did. But if you want a little more information on it, there are many sites on YouTube that walk you through the same thing and give you ideas of how to set it up and examples. That's a very easy way for you to continue on this process. But I encourage you to try this because it is an amazingly easy and quick tool.